All right, welcome back. We continue live right here at Pittsburgh CW. Bob Pompeani along with Tim Benz and you at 412-575-2600. You can be hooked up on Twitter at KDPomp at
Tim Benz PGH.
I knew there was some component to it that I wasn't sure. I knew it was going to say Tim Benz PIT. No, it's PGH.
Yeah.
I'll get
check with me. We'll do a check with me at the last.
Okay. Tim Benz PGH. By the way, Tim will be on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown tonight, 11:35 KDKA. A lot of interesting takes there with Tim, along with Paul Zeiss and Chris Muller, both of the Fan. But I want to ask you before we go to the lines, which are buzzing with Pirate calls. Steelers played a preseason game, and I thought a lot of good individual performances. That's what Mike Tomlin wants to see, yet areas to improve as well.
I'll give you three quick ones. I'll give you James Washington, a wide receiver from the Steelers. I thought that he really performed well. Looks like he's taken some strides here in his second year. Devin Bush, it looks like he's as advertised, specifically sideline to sideline. I thought he did a really nice job helping other people in tackles with pursuit from one side of the field to the other. Ran out of his zone to help other guys get the guy down at first contact. That was big. And I also like both of the quarterbacks. All three of the quarterbacks. Duck Dynasty even, Bob.
The Duck's in
there. You got
there.
to like the Duck, too. So I'd say all three quarterbacks.
Yeah, I think Mason Rudolph is actually right now on pace to move past Dobbs. I thought Dobbs played well.
And he should, right? I mean, like, that's the plan, right?
Pretty much. But, I mean, he has to continue this, and it's going to go all the way down to the fourth preseason game. All right, let's go to the lines here. We'll begin with Kelly in Vanderbilt. Hello, Kelly. How are you?
Good. How are you, Bob?
Okay, thanks.
All right. My big is the relief pitching. You cannot tell me that Crick is worth anything. He has blown so many games for the Pirates. Every time they're in the lead, they put him in. What happens?
No, yeah, this is a really good point, Bob. I'm glad she brought this up because
thanks, Kelly.
I was a defender and actually thought Neil Huntington, when the team was doing pretty well in the early part of the season, part of the defense that you can make of him in general was the job that he did in those two big trades with Garrett Cole and with Andrew McCutchen. You know, we're talking about Brian Reynolds and Kyle Crick. We're doing great. We're talking about how Joe Musgrove and Colin Moran were doing a nice job. And boy, has that fallen off aside from Reynolds in the second half. And Crick has been dreadful. He hit the two guys. And did you see him barking in the dugout to keep Clint Hurdle in there?
He had no business doing that. Hurdle shouldn't listen to any of that stuff.
And I don't know, like, it was barking at him to save a mound visit or if it was barking at him to not pull him. Either way, they should have gone out and he should have been pulled. I mean, you haven't used Felipe Vasquez in what, like twice in 50 days or something like that?
That's my point. Felipe Vasquez sitting around. And listen, I know you have nothing to play for, but we saw tonight in the San Francisco game, Tim and I were watching it, Philadelphia had a threat going. So what does Bruce Bochy do in the seventh inning with 2 out and Bryce Harper up and guys on second and third? He brings in the closer because that is probably the most stressful part of the last 3 innings.
What are you saving him for? And traded him for Gavin Lux in the offseason instead?
Right. I mean,
come
why
on.
not use him in that situation in the seventh inning? Things are falling apart. That's what he's there for. All right, he can't get to the ninth. If you don't want to use him in that, at least you get out of that jam. And they didn't do that. So, anyway, let's go out to Rick and Elizabeth, who joins us on the Sports Call. Hey, Rick, how are you?
Good. How you guys doing?
We're good, thanks.
This is just like Groundhog Year. Year after year after year, we end up having this conversation. And, Bob, I can tell you this. You're not going to get any answers. Every year we look for answers from the Nuttings and, you know, from the higher-ups, and we get
I think you want more, Rick, than answers. You want action with those answers. You don't just want, like today, Neil Huntington on his radio show pretty much said, well, no vote of confidence. I think there are a lot of issues we have, and even me. We'll see what that means. It may mean just enough to say it now with no follow-up. They have to follow up, too, if they're sincere about this.
Bob, it's truly window dressing to get us from year to year, and these guys they're more interested in putting, positive equity in their pockets, and that's what they continue to do. And as long as that keeps happening, there's nothing that they're going to do anything different. You're going to watch this off season. There's going to be salaries that are going to be dumped.
Well, here's the thing. On the bottom line equity, and I see his point, but the bottom line equity thing that he's talking about, that's where the rubber meets the road with him making decisions and firings. You know, if August and September are so bad at the gate at PNC Park, which they should, then he'll start to worry about why isn't Clint Hurdle or Frank Coonley or Neil Huntington.
But he had plenty of time to remember to do that. It's a precipitous decline. It's been that way for 3 years.
Yeah, but attendance was up a little bit so far.
I know, but overall, I think it's from where it was in 2015 to where
sure.
it is now.
I mean, there were
if he wanted to react to that, he could have. Listen, I understand everybody who doesn't attend there. It's about $50 a person that you can average about what that person would spend once you're in PNC Park. So he misses that money. So I'll ask you just point blank: does he want to win? In your opinion, I think he does.
I think he does, but it's not a priority.
No, if it's done with the constraints he has.
Yes, he wants to win his way. When his way is with a moderate payroll. You know, for as great as it would be to win, he knows the benefits that come at the gate and merchandising and ratings and all those sort of things. That's fantastic, but the first thing that comes to mind is, are you winning at the bank more so than you're winning in the...
Let's go to Walt in Hempfield, who joins us here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Hey, Walt.
Hey, Bob. Hey, I just want to say that I'm 60 years old, and the only way you can beat this problem is don't go to the games next year, and Hurdle that has no control of that team. You should have pulled Crick. Crick is horrible. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Well, as far as not going,
leap from a big thing to a very specific, but okay.
I'm never going to tell people not to go to the games. If you have kids, you want to experience that, that's fine. You can do what you want, but you know, they should be disturbed with people not just going on specific promotion nights. It should be every night, and you want the team to win, because that's what you said coming in here, and they've used the words accountable. They've used the we want to win championships. We have the best management team in all the sports. I mean, those are words that we didn't create. Those are words that came out of Bob Nutting's mouth.
I don't think they necessarily believed it when they said it. They tried to sell it, and now you can see how empty that was. I mean, think about it, Bob. 1979 is the last time this team has won a season series.
Right.
So this guy who's 60, or you know, whatever family does or doesn't boycott the games next year, think about how long it's been since you've seen the proper investment to the point that you could get a team that wins a playoff series. Not one game, but a series.
And here's the other thing, too. If you don't like the system, don't vote for it. And yet the Pirates have voted for a system with no floor, no cap, no nothing.
Right.
And so, therefore, you know what you're dealing with. And I think Bob Nutting really doesn't want a floor, because a floor would force him to spend to that floor, which he may not want to do. And until that change, I wish he would come out and address all of this and not just do it in a, you know, he needs to step up and make a statement, I think, at this point, because things are spiraling out of control. Let's go out to Pete in Squirrel Hill. Plus, I always think it's good PR for people to talk in these kind of situations, not just run away from it. Let's go to Pete. How are you, Pete?
Hey, Bob. How are you tonight?
Good, thanks.
Bob, about the state of the organization, when you go into like this type of losing streak and the total breakdown in fundamentals, it's one thing if you're being out-pitched, out-hit, out-executed. But every single game, Bob, they have a direct hand in self-destruction. These 3 games in St. Louis, Bob, they could have won all 3. It wouldn't have mattered because their season's over. But Friday night, Newman letting Goldschmidt's 2 hopper go right by him to the outfield, and Fowler scores the eventual winning run. Last night, Newman thrown a relay throw into the dugout because Carl Moran looked like he was waiting for his pizza to be delivered, and I don't know what Musgrove was doing. Then today, 5 runs with 2 outs in the 7th inning after they couldn't catch a pop-up.
it's bad news bears. It's thrown to the wrong base. If it were possible for them to get a base hit and run to third instead of going to first, I think these guys would do it at this point.
What did you think of that fly ball by Marte in the first inning?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no reason to do that. Even if you're rebuilding, if you're bad, if you're good, that just doesn't make sense to do it.
No, it doesn't. And we've seen this repeatedly with them. And it's funny to hear the broadcasters actually say, oh, no, another pop-up. And if you're a pitcher, especially in pitch-to-contact land, great, you get a pop-up. Then you got to hold your breath the whole time while it's up in the air. It's awful.
Neil Huntington disputes that pitch to contact. We'll talk more about that when we come back. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call right here on Pittsburgh CW.